Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this episode of WP Learning Series. Today's topic is to understand how DMP, how we can help us reach our unknown audiences in a better way, and also to achieve this, how we can maintain the balance of doing that with a better ROI. This is the topic of today's session. Uh, in today's session, I will be joined by my colleague Varun. So myself, Vinay. I work as a principal solution consultant with Miram India, and I have Varun, who is a DMP lead with us. Uh, uh, in today's session, we will be kind of looking at the DMP capabilities. And in order to achieve understand the DMP capabilities, we are kind of broken this entire 1 hour session into three major role plays. So one is basically the slide mode, wherein we'll be kind of structuring the entire session, but the focus would be also on how a end customer would be getting the experience designed by DMP. So we'll be also looking at the DMP console in detail. So this is Salesforce Audience Studio console. We'll be utilizing this particular interface to build the overall experience for the end customer, and how an end customer will actually look into the platform and how his experience is getting revamped is something that can be understood from an end customer perspective in this particular website, which is ntoretail.com. NTO Retail is also our showcase brand for this today's session, so that we can personalize the experience for NTO's end customers. So that's the premise. This is end customer view. This is marketers view, how marketers like you and me can design this customer experience. And obviously we have this navigation happening via these slides, right? So let's get started. First, little bit of theory, what exactly DMP means and what exactly it will do for us, right? And let's teach it with the prior uh, sessions some of you might have attended. The journey starts from a brand perspective when the customer or the prospect is an unknown zone. We are not aware of who is he or she is, what are his behavioral traits are, what are his habits are, so on and so forth, right? So he's an unknown zone. What DMP's key role would be, and it's not limited to that particular part, but it's to make that unknown person or a prospect into a known entity, and then warm it up even further so that we can create potential customer out of them, and then the purchase happen, and then they become like an existing customer and they do a referral and upsell and cross selling. So that's the part, but we'll be focusing more on the left hand side of the screen where the DMP will play a key role here, right? So with that premise in mind, let's look at what DMP in theory means, right? So it's a data management platform. In loose term, I also want to term it as data mastering platform, because it allows you to aggregate data for your for the brand from various data sources, right? So the left hand side that we see, there is a data in sources, that is we can collect data from the customer's website, like web properties like website, or maybe like a collection of website. Like imagine maybe like a huge automobile group having multiple vehicles, right? And each of the vehicle having each of their own website. All of that data can be collated together and brought inside the platform. At the same time, data collation can happen from the mobile apps as well. So respective mobile apps can also provide data into the DMP, right? We have seen certain scenarios wherein the first party data as well is being pushed inside the platform and the data capture happens from there. And we also map certain email campaigns and SMS campaigns. We also have customer data being captured. And when we say customer data, it's just not the demographic details of the customer, also the transactions details. So existing customers who had done some past purchases, even that data can get pushed inside the platform for the further segmentation and further understanding of those audiences. Last, rather the one which is just above the last, is the ad exposure data, wherein the paid media campaigns that we'll be conducting for these customers on the publisher websites, or could be on the social platform, even that data can get captured and stored inside the platform. And also it can connect with the various second and third party data providers, right? So second party is nothing but someone else's brand's first party data, and third party is basically the people who are data vendors who have their segments ready, and which helps understand the exact behavioral traits of that particular data. So all this data in properties can get collated together and get ingested inside the platform, which is called as Salesforce Audience Studio, which is nothing but a Salesforce DMP. Once that data is there inside the platform, what are the different activities that Audience Studio allows us to do, right? The activities are unification of data and identifying people behind those devices, because more often than not, we are collecting data from the devices, but we are reaching out to people. So Audience Studio allows us to take that very specific step of identifying people behind those devices. Then segmenting that data and enriching with certain insights which are available in the second and third party data set, right? Who are our customers? What are their behavioral traits? How they act or respond to certain campaigns when they are not on your digital properties, right? Even that enrichment of data can happen. Third is the managed consent. Consent management has become a key because lots of regulations which are coming to the picture, and there are many data privacy related laws are there which we need to kind of be cognizant of. Audience Studio allows us to manage that entire customer consent related activity centrally from the native interface. Then we need to further go and activate that data and personalize the experience for the end customer. That's the place where in the right side of the screen, data out comes into the play, wherein we can activate this data and run these campaigns on the Salesforce Marketing Cloud in the form of first party data. We can personalize the end customer's experience on the web properties like mobile app and the websites in terms of showing the relevant content there. And we can also have it done on the social ads and the various DSPs, right? So all these business systems get connected and this experience gets personalized, right? For this particular session, what we have done, as I mentioned, we have taken a particular brand, which is Northern Trail Outfitter, which is the brand which would be for whom we'll be utilizing DMP for. This DMP instance of Salesforce will be using for Northern Trail Outfitter. And what does this brand do? So this brand is into the outdoor sports. It's for the outdoor sports enthusiast, right? So anything which has to do with hiking or climbing, running, or maybe like preparing towards that, right? Anything which is related to that particular piece is something which would be like this brand would be providing everything related to that. So they have various sections for men, women, kids, right? Apart from the footwear and the accessories and jackets, they also provide gears, right? Bags and everything, sleeping bags, everything which is required when it comes to an outdoor camping or hiking, right? Also some electronics section, and it's also an end-to-end e-commerce website as well, right? So if I go to gears and do some research around the bags, right, I can very well go and do some purchase from here. So that's the premise. It's a outdoor activity related brand, and this is a website that will be kind of coming back to when it comes to how an end customer experience would be, right? So in the absence of DMP, if I'm doing this activity and assume that I'm being referred by my friend that NTO Retail has very good bags when it comes to a backpacking activity and overnight stay that I want to do somewhere, right? So if I'm doing this activity, typically I just do this activity. I just check out this bag, maybe like adding into a cart, maybe, or maybe I just drop out from here, right? In the absence of DMP, how the customer experience would be. So in that case, the customer experience would be that wherever I see, right, as in whenever I go apart from NTO Retail website, they will be kind of showing me this retargeting ads, right? So the bag which I looked at last, right, or maybe the page or the bag which I spent more time on, that bag will be kind of following me over the next few days when it comes to various web properties, right? Same way, they can also target me based on my profile, based on my interest shown or declared on my social media platforms. So this is nothing new. This is something that in the absence of DMP, most of the brands would be doing. Let's identify the problem statement here. Why NTO retail will need Salesforce DMP or any other DMP for that matter. We're taking Salesforce DMP as an example to execute this. The typical cycle is basically we are at the awareness stage of that brand, wherein the customers are either known or unknown. And in this state, either in order to generate the demand, we are kind of doing certain activities on the Google ad products like search, display, and YouTube ads. We also have similar wall garden in the form of Facebook, wherein I can also do profile-based marketing or cookie-based marketing, pixel-based marketing, which also supports Instagram. I can also have certain tabs with Times of India, and I can show certain video ads on YouTube, right? Some of the examples, there are many such avenues. And let's focus on the awareness stage because that's where the play of an unknown audience majorly is. Let's identify the problems, right? Which are those challenges that we'll be solving from NTO retail once we have Salesforce DMP in play, right? The key challenges that we can certainly identify, and most of you will be will identify these problems because these problems will resonate with you as well, because we'll be conducting certain paid campaigns for the end customers, for the brands, right? So the first challenge that we see is that overutilization of media budget, right? So we might be reaching out to the same customer over and over again, right? Is there a possibility of optimizing that particular media budget? We certainly see there is, right? Similarly, are we reaching out to relevant audience or not, right? That's also a question mark. When we are reaching out, we are not utilizing the media budget in an optimized manner. We are kind of losing out on the fact that we are kind of increasing the acquisition cost of the customer, and that entire balance of ROI versus the ROI goes for a toss, right? And last but not the certainly not the least, entire customer experience, the end customer experience goes for the toss, because he'll be seeing the same ad over and over again, and maybe he may or may not be interested, or he may be seeing the lesser number of ads as well, right? You never know, because there is no complete visibility on that particular front. So let's look at how do we go ahead and solve this particular problem. Let me just define the 4 steps of how DMP will help NTO retail. And all these 5 steps of DMP activation, right, for NTO retail would be kind of replicated in the DMP console as well. So I can start collecting data, right? The data collection is the very first step. Then the data get unified and identified inside the platform. I can go a step further and start segmenting the data and start personalize the experience in the console itself. I can go ahead and activate that data. And obviously in the entire cycle, I get lots of insight. I can get lots of reporting, which kinds of fits in for that iterative cycle of data collection, and the entire cycle completes, right? So this is what the platform allows us to do. And there is various sections over here. Let me just, yeah. So this is the home console, right? This is the home page of the console, wherein I can create segments. I can see the insights. I can activate the platform from here, and I can start collecting the data from this particular place, right? So let's look at how data collection activity will happen. In data collection activity, as I mentioned previously, we'll be capturing data from the website, which would be ntoretail.com. Also the mobile app. We'll be also capturing data from AdX, where the ad is being served currently. We can pull in data in case there is an offline data available, or in case there are some database campaigns which are happening, we can pull in data from that place as well, right? So let's look at which are the relevant places on the website, right? So once I'm starting my journey as a visitor on the platform, all the things which are being done by me on this particular website are nothing but events, right? So I go ahead and kind of click and check out this particular bag, right? I might check out the various sizes, or maybe I change the quantity. I can add it to my cart, or I can add it to my wish list, right? So I can certainly do an add to my cart, right? All these events, because I have deployed DMP tags in my on my NTO retail website, I can capture this data in a very continuous fashion. So as you see on the screen, this particular screen shows us how my site tag, that is the website tag, will get deployed, right? So I already created one for ntoretail.com. All I need to do is basically just get the code from here, copy from here, and paste it in the website backend. And that's where the data collection exercise starts. And that's on the website side, right? That is from the visitor data point of view. Other places are that I need to capture certain significant events. And this is something that you will be discussing with the brands, which are those significant events, right? In NTO Retail's case, a particular product being added to a cart, right, could be a significant event, right? And that's an event the marketer will particularly want to capture. So I can definitely capture this particular, create this particular event tag, get the code, and similar way deploy that on the website so that anything which is getting added to the cart gets tracked, and I can stitch the story together. Who are the visitor and who are the people who are taking actions, like adding to a cart, watching a video could be one of the exercise, watching maybe like a social media activity could be another exercise, right? So that's how I'm on my own properties like website, on app, I will be capturing data. But the story doesn't stop there, because I will be reaching out to people who are not on my website, right? I'm targeting them based on their profiles, maybe based on certain sections on the website, right? There could be few blogs which are catering specifically for this particular activity of outdoor sports, hiking or camping, right? So even those websites will have visitors, and definitely that's my target audience. And NTO Retail would be running an ad of those new collections on those particular websites, right? So even in that case, I can capture that ad impression data, and that data can start flowing in via DSPs. So I can deploy my tags via DSPs, and whenever the ad server deploys or serves that particular ad on a particular website or a web property, that data starts flowing in from there. Apart from the ad impressions, I can also capture certain click data as well. So certain Facebook ad or the Google search ad, if they are getting captured or clicked, I can capture the data from there. In a nutshell, what we are looking at is any potential customer or a visitor of NTO Retail, we are not letting go his data anywhere from the platform, right? So we are capturing data on the website, we are capturing the events, we are also capturing the people who are not on the website, right? So from whom the ad is being shown in the form of ad impressions and everything, we are capturing that data as well. That's how the DMP keeps on collecting data, and it's an ongoing event. So once we deploy the tag once, the data collection starts from there, and we can see that data inside the platform once the DMP started collecting the data. Let's look at the next step of this particular process. The next step is basically, once the data is captured, what should we be doing with that particular data, right? And as I mentioned in the very start, we are not talking to devices. We are talking to people behind those devices, right? So we should be able to identify them across devices. And it's just not what they are doing on the website. We should be able to create a profile of these customers, who they are. Is there additional information available on the World Wide Web? Is there any third-party data provider who can give me more insight about them? Is something that we should be looking at. And that would be our very next step in the data unification part. What we would be doing in that case is that let's look at a particular segment for an example. Right. So we are looking at people who had abandoned the cart, right? And as you see on the screen right now, there are 1.5 billion people, or devices rather, because the first number is devices. From 1.5 billion devices, unique devices, this abandoning of cart activity has happened, right? But what the platform has identified uniquely as, there are 507 million people who own these 1.5 billion devices. So roughly we are seeing that one person is visiting ntoretail.com, or they are viewing their website, or they are kind of seeing these ad impressions from 3 different devices. So one person, 3 devices is something that then inside the platform has given me proactively, right? How the platform has identified this? The platform is at its own proprietary algorithm, so it can identify people behind the devices in a deterministic fashion, or there is something called as probabilistic fashion, because there are multiple great brands who are currently using Salesforce DMP, and based on those insights and that data has been captured globally, they have built this algorithm, and the names could be like someone like Kellogg is using globally, or Pepsi in US, they're using it, right? Or many publishers who are using it, and whatever traits that they have seen, right? Based on that, they have kind of built this intelligence and they kind of stitch this story together, right? So people behind the devices is the one insight that we have got. Let's see what else that we can see here. Can I build an audience profile? Yes. So there are data providers who can give me more insights about this 5.7 million data sets that we have that we are seeing. So let me take a quick pause here just to remind you that in case of any questions, you can drop it in a Q&A session so that we can take those questions towards the end of the session, right? And maybe like we might keep the overall tone of this particular session at the learner level or the basic level, but we can certainly talk about certain technical integrities or maybe like a evolved advanced use cases during the Q&A session. So we'll look forward to your questions during that particular Q&A part, which would be towards the end. OK, so coming back to the insights for the data capture, or rather the people around the people, right? So what we are seeing here is that this particular data provider is giving me certain demographic details, right? This 500 million people who are visiting my websites or to whom the ad has been served, right? Approximately 48% of them are a male and 52% are female. What's their age-wise bifurcation is, or rather the segmentation is, the household income is, education is, marital status is. All these insights may not be perfectly as an exact insight, but it gives me a certain understanding about my audience, right? So that's an audience profile creation part. Let's look at any other way, as in that is something that we can understand this particular audience better. So let's look at the same one and let's see how this audience overlaps with any other audience that I have created, right? So people who are abandoning my cart, right? And people who have done some subscription of my newsletter, right? What it says is basically there is a 2.93% of an overlap there, right? So these are the same people who are doing both these activities. But what is interesting here is that people who have been categorized as casual travelers, right? And it could be variable, be a third party data or the segment that is available to me, right? That's a great insight for me, because people who are like abandoning my cart and showing that purchase intent, but not going ahead and doing the purchase, they can be easily categorized, or rather 35% of them are casual travelers, right? Can I personalize this card abandoned, or maybe like a look at this 35% of this data and personalize their experience, something which is basically in the card casual traveler zone, right? That could be an insight over here. And I'm started to understand this data, this audience in a far more better way, right? Once the data starts flowing in, more data starts flowing in, more and more such insights can be seen, right? So one way of visual depiction of that would be how this overlap is across segments, right? So that's the second stage of our data unification part. The next step that we'll be looking at is the segmentation and personalization. It's very interesting part, because this is where the marketeer's role will come into the play. How will we look at what are the different segments that you should be building? And this is a greenfield here, right? We have to typically when we engage with the brands, we typically conduct this workshop with the marketeers or the media buying team, or maybe even the outsource agency, right? And we try to understand whom they are targeting currently, what are the current insights that we see from the from their existing media buy campaigns, and what what are those resultant segments should be, right? So this segmentation workshop is one of the key activities that we typically engage with the brands as part of the DMP implementation for the brands. And we also try to understand the second and third party data overlap, right? So let's quickly look at, and rather we'll just quickly create one segment right in here itself. So in order to do that, what do I need to do? I need to go into the segment section of Salesforce Audience Studio or DMP, click on new segment, and I say create a standard segment. Before we actually go ahead and create a segment, let me just give you a quick overview of various sections which are available here. So one is the first party data, right? Let's look at what else is available in the first party data. So in first party data, the thing starts with campaign, the ongoing campaigns which I'll be doing, which could be like a Facebook activity, social ads, maybe display ads, or maybe first party data ads. A CRM data can be pulled in as well. So anything which the past purchaser, right, person who has actually created a login on NTO retail website, someone who has downloaded the app, all those people who have become like a partially known but not well known. What since I deployed the tags on the NTO retail website, what it has facilitated me doing is, and in the console, what I can see is that the entire sitemap of NTO retail got replicated inside the platform, right? So if I were to go ahead and create segments based on products, right? People who are interested in backpacks versus people who are interested in tents or running shoes, maybe I can definitely do that, right? So I can segment the data based on categories, products that they are interested in, subcategories, product quantity, anything which is available on the NTO retail website. Since my tags, the control DMP tags are present on the NTO retail backend, all that data is available for me to segment on. Then the shopping behavior, the intent based behavior, right? I can capture that data and create a segment based on that. Obviously the site behavior, because it's continuously listening to those particular key events on the website as well. Again, events, basically, which are the different activities which happen on the website. Apart from that, the way I mentioned, just not the on-site behavior, also the off-site behavior, right? So I might have reached out to people and run campaign for based on their profiles. So I might have run Facebook campaign. I might have run display campaigns. So I can pull in that data as well, because my media tags, DMP media tags, are also part of the ongoing campaigns, the paid campaigns which are happening. And then there is a second and the third party data available as well. Let's go ahead and create one segment, and we'll keep in mind the kind of search that we did on the platform, on the website rather, that let's see and create a segment for people who have looked at backpacks. Right? And as you see, as in most all the values which are present on the NTO retail website are present in the form of attribute values. So all these SKUs have, as an e-commerce site will call it, right? And if I remember correctly, yeah, I looked at this particular backpack. Lets me find all the people who had shown in this particular backpack, right? And they have seen this particular backpack at least once in last 90 days duration. That's a frequency which I'm applying, and I'm kind of highlighting it on the screen, and I'm applying this time check as well. That's the last 90 days. Again, it's very customizable, so I can certainly increase it to 3 and increase this number to some other number as well. It could be 30 days if it is like a high churn item, is something which gets checked very frequently, or it could be as simple as 90 days. We can also have a look back of 13 months, right? So currently, that's one limitation that we see with a few more DMPs or maybe other products. DMP allows us to scale that even further, and where it would be useful is wherein when we are comparing two campaigns which are very seasonal, right? Some campaigns which run only on, let's say, Diwali, right? Something so how we can kind of pull in data from last Diwali campaign and get those insights and run those campaigns in this year's Diwali, right? So that kind of intelligence can get built. So let me look at guys who looked at this particular backpack section, and let me just see that once. And let me create like a very unique segment in the form of, or maybe like I can say that a campaign which has run. So let me see whether I have them pulling in a media attribute, right? And okay, so I've run these two particular campaigns previously, and what I'm doing right now is basically excluding people. So I have ran this particular campaign for the skiving trial bag and the weekend, right? Last 90 days, people were got exposed to it, and there's certain impressions which were served, right? I want to exclude these guys from the people who are visiting that particular backpack section of my website, so that I'm not reaching out to them again, right? So that's an intelligence, and that's the control of data which DMP interface will kind of provide us in the form of since we are collating that data centrally, and this processing that can be done. And it's not necessary that we have to have like this X number of news rules only. The platform is quite scalable, so we can actually keep on adding and do quite a complex segments can get created as well. So I can certainly look at certain third-party data as well, right? And I can create segments from there. Let me just create this segment for now. And I can name this segment as, let's say, learning session. Right? And there are certain other types. Segment type can get defined. Which category that segment belongs to can get defined as well. How frequently this segment should get updated? Mine is I'm looking at a very good traffic coming in, so I'm saying that it should get updated daily. Enable audience profile for me on this, so that I can get more insights on this particular segment. And next is basically on which DSPs or the ad networks or the social platforms this particular segment should get activated on, right? So I can select it from here. That would be my last step of create segment creation process, right? So coming back to the slides part, wherein I'm looking at the data activation part, which is the fourth step. And while I'll be activating that particular data, that's the real value of DMP in terms of adhering to the ultimate ROI delivery engine, right? It's something that would be looking at how it can do that. So before we activate that data, let's look at how a particular campaign. So assuming that we have ran that particular campaign. So sorry about this. Let's look at a section wherein, one sec. Yeah. How a last campaign has performed, right? So what it allows me to do is to see how frequently my audience is seeing my ad, right? How frequently that ad is being shown to them, right? So I can choose a month, and this particular exercise is better than on month-on-month basis. So I'm looking at July month's campaign, right? And I say that any ad which is being shown less than 6 times in a month's duration, I would say that this would be a underserved, right? It's in a DMP term, it's a short tail frequency, wherein I'm showing the ads less than 6 times, and this number is totally customizable. It changes from product to product, brand to brand, but for the demo purpose, it's 6. And anyone who is seeing that ad more than 15 times in a month's duration is a person who is over targeted. So I'm defining this particular piece for the platform, right? And this is what the plot looks like, right? As in there are good chunk of people, rather there are close to 3 billion devices, 3.7 billion devices where the ad is shown only once. This is the uniqueness of that particular ad, right? And how many times a particular device or a person has seen that particular ad is something which is shown here, right? Orange is basically underserved people or the devices, and green is basically on target. So between 6 to 15 is something that I'm looking at as a on target devices, right? And then are obviously overserved. So under target frequency, over target frequency, we can certainly enter certain number in terms of CPMs. and create this particular report for NTO retail, wherein we are certainly make them understand how much they are overspending, rather underspending, right? And how much they are overspending. And typical function of doing this is basically suppress the people who are getting overexposed with the ads, right? And increase the ad impressions for people who are getting under targeted and have a potential to convert, right? While this particular report talks about 6 and 15 being the number, right? And I'm expecting good questions on this reports part, because this is something which we have seen generating good interest from most of the interactions that we have with brands. So a quick reminder that you can drop your questions in the Q&A box so that we can take those up towards the end, right? So 6 and 15 is the number that we kind of thought based on our experience, past experience maybe. Can DMP help me understand what exactly the ideal frequency? What is that frequency I should be serving my ads on, right? Which actually helps me convert, right? And that's where under insight we'll see an ideal frequency report. And for everyone's benefit, let's go ahead and create one report, right? So ideal frequency report, I will just say that learning session, naming it. I'm saying all campaigns. I can obviously define which campaign I want to identify the ideal frequency for, but the typical approach is bottoms up. So I will just look at all the campaigns first. A date range would be last 1 month. And what I'm telling the platform is that someone who is falling into a particular segment, for whom that ad was shown, right, or set of campaigns, or so ads were shown on multiple platforms like social platform, on the display platform, various ad avenues which are possible, and they ultimately come and fall this particular segment. In our case, the segment could be like cart, like proceed to checkout, right? Or maybe like card abandoned, right? Even that is a good partial success event, right? So that could be a segment which I can define and can select from here. So whichever segment that I will be building in the segments creation, this thing, right? So whoever looks at my ad and comes on my website and at least reaches to a part wherein he goes ahead and do a add to cart activity, either that, or I can define an event on my website, right? So certain event could be like a video being watched, or landing page being visited, right? Or any checkout being done, right? Any such event can get defined. So I'm basically telling the platform, this is my ultimate goal of this particular campaign. Now help me understand for how many people the ad was shown, right? And how many of them actually went ahead and performed this particular event, or became part of this particular segment, right? So that's the flow here. Let's look at pre-created, because this is scheduled for preparation. Let's look at one which is already created. Okay. This one looks finished. Let's view it, right? Okay, let's look at one visual part of this thing, because that will actually give us a better idea. Okay, this is this thing. Let me look at the. Yeah, so what we'll basically is doing is basically mapping my conversion criteria against the kind of ad impressions which are shown, and it kind of helps me create a particular short tail frequency and long tail frequency segments, further segments, which can get either retargeted, or I can suppress them from my future campaigns. So that's basically how I can connect my ad activities. I can connect all my ad activities with my actual conversion which has happened on the website, right? So that's on this activation part. or from the reporting part, there are another interesting piece is basically we keep on as a marketer, we keep on creating ads, we keep on what should I say, creating content, or maybe like we keep on serving that those particular ads for our end customers, right, in a particular sequence. But which is that exact sequence which actually will give us a good conversion, because we looked at the number of times an ad should be shown and what's the exact number which will give us a good conversion. That's one success criteria. Another success criteria or another thing which will play a good role is basically the in what sequence that particular those ads should be shown. So in that case, we have something called as journey insights, right? So what is that path that a end customer of NTU retail will typically take in order to reach to that particular goal criteria or towards the conversion, right? So this is one report which is basically shows us the sequence, right? And this is we can also define a conversion criteria here, right? So how many users, how many of them are converters, what's the conversion rate, and basically or based on that conversion rate, what's the campaign, right? What's the campaign that they kind of followed, what's the part. So they followed their journey with the browse general products, right? That's an activity as you see on the screen that they did first, right? And then they looked at some specialized product, then they looked at certain e-commerce activity that they did, and then they looked at the search gear, and then to look at abandoned cart, right? So that's the flow that we typically see. The same flow can get attached to ad sequences as well, which is that display ad or the social ad they saw first, and which was the second ad that they saw, and what was that sequence that they followed before they become they visited the website, or they actually converted on the website, or they actually uh, went and did a purchase offline, right? Because we can also ingest data from the offline sources as well, right? So we can understand this, we can actually gives us a great insight as a marketer, so that we can identify the sequence, which creative is working, which platform is working, right? Because it also helps us see the campaign performance report, right? So any campaign that you are currently running, how it is performing, how many impressions it's doing, how many clicks that will be getting. While currently also we will be having this data, this data would be kind of segregated across various places where the ads are currently being performed, right? DMP, since it's collating data from various places, it actually can give us like a single interface to see the view the ad impressions, how many clicks that you are getting from them, and how a particular campaign is performing in the form of conversion, in terms of CTR, in terms of reach, right? So these are the various reports, and we are kind of looking at few of them. So in terms of the frequency report, ideal frequency report, the journey report, and also the campaign performance and the segment performance, right? Something that we got activated can also be seen here, right? So that's on the reporting part of things, and we can certainly create, let's say, and from any part of it, as in we can actually create like a overlap report, right? As in, and we said that okay, let's identify that okay, people who are seeing this ad, and let's create a new segment which basically based on these insights that will be kind of creating these reports on. So these reports are, let's say, right, and let's say anyone who has seen this particular campaign, right, uh, once in last 90 days, right, I can create a suppression rule based on this. So all my ongoing these things ads, rather, let me just enter, or maybe like people who has seen like more than 15 times in last 90 days duration or last 30 days duration, I want to them get suppressed, right? So I can go ahead, create this rule, identify all the people or the devices where the ad has been shown more than 15 times, and I can say that okay, suppression segment. So this will kind of help us optimize the overall media spend as well, right? So this is how the insights will be helping us. Going back to the slides, uh, we have seen the activation part. We also looked at the journey insights and the segment overlap part, and that's the reporting and analytics module of data. And it's an agile method, right? As in we collect data, unify it, create segments, activate that data, capture that activated data again based on certain reporting and analytics, and the entire cycle follows. Typically, we say that we should be reviewing these DMP performances or the campaign performance at least weekly once. That's a review part, and the revision should happen at least once in a month as per the new media budget or the new media planning which will be happening. Also the insights that we'll be getting from the past campaigns, right? On month there should be at least a single revision of the setup that we'll be doing. A new segment should be created or existing segment should be refined, or we should be actually looking at this frequency identification part, and the suppression and the retargeting segment should get created. So it's an agile method, month on month engagement that we also see. We start off our engagement with the brands with the DMP implementation piece, but this is again a month on month activity that we see, wherein we closely work with the marketing and the advertising team to drive the ROI. With this particular note, I think we have covered the basic functionality, but I'm looking forward to your questions in the form of so let me just have a are there any questions? Okay, great. So yeah, so first question is basically who are the audience studios data providers in India? So there is no geography specific, I would say, a data provider, because Audience Studio works globally. So all these key data providers like LiveRamp or even Lotame, right? They kind of becomes the data providers, right? And all these data providers have their geography-wise data segmentation. What our current experience is, all these what should I say? Established data providers have a good chunk of data when it comes to India region as well. So we have seen good results happening with other DMPs. So along with Datame, I would also say that DMP, Salesforce DMP works with quite well with Adobe DMP as well, right? So you can pull in data from competing DMPs or the data providers like Lotame and many as in many such Newstar. We have worked with them. We have worked with LiveRamp mostly, Oracle Data Studio, one of the key data providers, and we have seen good results with those data providers, third party and second party data. Okay, next question is why is cart abandoner appearing with the type interest and not behavior? So it may be like a pre-created one, and it's a shared instance that we just looked at, not for a particular live customer. NTO Retail is a fictional brand which Salesforce has built the demo story around. Maybe someone who has previously created the cart abandoner, they kind of entered the type as interest, and it's very custom in nature, right? As in that's what I said, as in when we get into that segment defining workshop, right? That's the place wherein we looked at what are the types, what are the categories, what are the subcategories, and so it's custom, right? As in it's nothing like hard coded or something like it has to done this way only. As in as a questioner has actually a valid point, it's a behavioral segment. So yes, it should be defined as a behavioral type. Next question is up to how many days data remain in the audience studio? So the by default state is 90 days, 90 days look back as we call it, but that can very well get stretched up to 13 months. So 13 months look back is possible in Audience Studio. default is 90 days as it's applicable for any other DMP, and that's something which Salesforce positions as an USP of Audience Studio, because the obvious achievement being basically we can actually look at 13 million backs data and revamp the strategy for this year's seasonal campaign. So 13 months is the maximum that we can look back into, and 90 days is default. Which networks can we activate Audience Studios on? Uh, the list is huge, right? As in it's being so let me just give you like a example of the brands, as in just the brands which Audience Studio currently works with, right? Pepsi, Kellogg's, many publisher brands like Warner Brothers, or maybe there are many brands, and all of these brands have presence, or rather they work with very what should I say, ad networks, right? Very known ad networks, and maybe like so their kind of spectrum is very large. So from that perspective, anything which kind of fulfills that particular requirement or those brands is kind of covered, and which I would say it's many, as in case of India it could be like InMobi. In case of we have seen certain cases wherein it has to get activated on new ad activation partner as well, right? And even that activation partner was like niche, and what we will, and it was not kind of listed on the platform in the out of the box integration, but we kind of got it done via Salesforce help. So even onboarding a new activation partner won't be an issue. Having said that, at least I've seen, if I remember, is somewhere close to 500 different activation partners, right from Amazon Ad Network to various DSPs and ad networks where the connections are readily available. Can this integrate with media which is running on social networking platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? Certainly. So there are two ways of doing this. One is basically we can certainly look at have those media tags deployed in the outgoing Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter campaigns. So that's one of the key data source from the data capture perspective, as I mentioned in the schematic this thing. So right from the data capture as well as from data activation point of view, both ways we can integrate Salesforce Audience Studio with social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Okay, next question is, and I do see questions flowing in, but do write these questions, and I'm like looking forward to this question answer session. Actually, rather that's the key motive behind having these sessions, in order to kind of look at the same thing, or maybe like addressing questions that you will be having in mind. Together we'll be kind of building this solution when it comes to a new question or new scenario pops up. Okay, so the next question is, what does half green and half red bar depicts? That's an interesting observation. And this is one question that a very keen marketeer and many that's something which kind of pops in during most of the sales interaction that we have, right? What exactly that it depicts, right? So these are, so the graph that we looked at is a cumulative this thing, right? Cumulative ad impressions, right? So exact one, right? And then there are people who have seen exact two, right? So there are people who have seen those, and that red part keeps on increasing from there. As in, once it is there in the partially red, and then the red part keeps on increasing, right? And that's the place wherein these devices start falling in that segment, or that the over targeting has started, right? So that's the frequency. Most of it, those devices are, since it's a cumulative number, some of the devices are in the under targeted zone and some of the devices are in the over targeted zone. It's kind of tricky to understand, but we'll definitely will have as an, I hope I can actually making it clear. Maybe I can give more example with it, but it's a tricky to understand. It can be understood with the right window. Next question is, does this also act as a CDP? To a certain extent, yes. and to a certain extent no, right? So the broad categorization of CDP, and CDP is an evolving domain, and currently something a conversation starter nowadays with the marketing team. So CDPs are like, there is some. So what typically CDPs do, right? The CDP keep on collecting data from various data sources, and they also allow us to activate that data, right? So collection and engagement are the two broad domains that we typically look at. Uh, to a certain extent, certain functionality of both these verticals, collection and engagement, is being done is being done by the Audience Studio. While I say that it can get positioned as CDP for certain use cases, Salesforce also has a standalone CDP, as in that's something which is a work in progress, and Salesforce will come up with their own CDP, which will kind of give us like an end-to-end CDP functionality in the form of, so partially yes, partial CDP, but not an end-to-end CDP by the definition of it. Okay. Next question is, in the frequency report, how do I know the ideal frequency of my campaign? What you showcase is that I have to specify the under targeted and over targeted frequency. Won't tool by itself showcase the ideal frequency that is leading to a conversion? Yeah, I think I kind of tried showcasing that, but that report was getting generated, and it will take certain time to populate the results there, maybe like a couple of hours maybe. Let me explain it again. So you define a conversion criteria, which is could be like a purchase, or it could be like an activity of added to cart or added to wish list, right? So that's your conversion criteria, based on which you create a segment, or you say that this is the place which basically is my final goal is, right? Now you map all the campaigns ad impressions against that particular conversion criteria. So you showed like 1 million impressions. Out of those 1 million impressions, let's say 10,000 is some are the people who have actually kind of made that particular goal, right? And in order to people who had achieved that particular goal, how many impressions of that particular ad, or maybe like a sequence of ad, like collection of ads, were shown to those 10,000 people who had actually gone ahead and did that conversion event, is something that the tool would be capturing. And against that, it will do a mapping of under targeted and over targeted frequency. Sorry, I could not show that in the platform because the report was getting built. But based on this conversion criteria, I can define that conversion criteria, again, very custom, and then against those doers versus non-doers, and that's where the impression level mapping can also get created inside the platform. So yes, the short answer is yes, the platform tells you the ideal frequency, rather it tells you the range of ideal frequency, which can get refined on month basis, right? So it says that the ideal frequency should be falling between 3 to 5, or should be falling between 3 to 7, right? And then you enter those numbers in the frequency management report, right? And the frequency management report gives you the over targeted and under targeted users. I hope that kind of clears it now. Okay, one question is, how do we partner with you? So actually, I think our credentials would be shared with as part of this particular interaction. If not, via moderator will be, you can reach out to us maybe like by dropping a message there. And also, I just want to remind you that towards the end of this particular session, will be I think there is one feedback form link which will be dropped by the moderator. So please take out time to submit your feedback. Will definitely help us in improving on these particular sessions. Yes, so for the partner part, I think I would request you to reaching out to moderator, or maybe like if you can just reply with your email address, maybe we can connect on that. Great, I think moderator is responding to it. Nice. The last question, and I'm presuming I'm quickly doing a time check. if there are no more questions, I'll take up this last particular question, which basically said, which are the sectors that you are comfortable handling? You mentioned Pepsi, Warner Brothers. That makes me sense that FMCG and entertainment. Yes. So, yeah. So if you see the premise from the positioning perspective, places where capturing of, so there is no limit per se when it comes to a particular when it comes to a data capture activity, right? Most of these CPG or the FMCG companies, they work via the franchisees, maybe like via these resellers and everything, right? So they don't capture the first party data of the end customer, right? But they still have to do an advertising and marketing, right? Maybe advertising more, less of a marketing, because they don't have first party data, right? So it's an that way the questions are those are definitely like a low hanging fruit. Like anyone who is not capturing the first party data, Pepsi won't accept the order on their platform, right? Because they are running via their channel partners and everything, right? Same goes with LG, Samsung, all these big brands who don't have access to uh, customers end data directly in their hand, right? So those are definite target. Publisher side, yes, Warner Brothers or maybe like a Time Magazine, all those bigger groups, they are publisher sides. So yes, the top level bifurcation is marketeer versus marketeers and publishers. There is a separate audience studio version for marketeers, which we looked at in the deep, but the similar publisher version is also present, wherein we can onboard all these publishers in the form of all those online publishers, offline publishers as well, right? And then from the sector perspective, yes, FMCG and people who don't have access to the first party data. But at the same time, we can also look at people who have access to first party data as well. For e-commerce, it becomes like a great use case because we can capture the event level data as well, right? Anything which is being added to cart, anything which is being so I would say I would like very what should I say, very uh, uh, this thing of me that it is any B2C segment is something would be our target segment in terms of positioning of DMP. That's the play of DMP, and that's the place where we are kind of looking forward to getting new opportunities on. Okay, we have one more questions. How about ads activation on OTTs in India? How does Audience Studio handles this? OTTs are certainly supported, as we know it, as in currently they are there are instances wherein the OTT level connections which are being done, and there is certain module of for OTTs, right? In Audience Studio. In Indian context, it is being it's a partnership which is basically delivering. It's getting developed in the time duration. So I don't have like specific names to give you right now in terms of the OTT collaboration or the activations present currently. But yes, OTT module is there, and it's a matter of time wherein the activation they get onboarded as a OTT platform. In US and maybe at the global level, many established OTT, right from Amazon Prime to Hulu and the other platforms, they are onboarded. Maybe in India, I think there are what we know last is basically Salesforce in advanced talks with Hotstar and the Alt Balajis of the world, and that activation onboarding, activation partner onboarding would be like a would be sooner than we anticipate. Great. I think moderator has shared the feedback link, and that was my last question as well. So it was great interacting with all of you, and please take out like a couple of minutes time to share your valuable feedback. Will definitely help us to improve on our further sessions, future sessions. Thanks a lot.